In this lecture, we are going to tweak some rendering settings to preserve the original color of the pixel art when the game runs in the lit mode. For now, I'm in the left view and I'm in the lit mode. We can switch to the unlit mode here. Now we can see the actual color of the pixel art. When the game runs, it's going to run in the unlit mode. Let's play the game. And you can see everything is very bright. This is because, by default, there are many visual effects taking place in the lit mode, even though we don't really have a light source in the game world. Now I'm switching between the lit and the unlit mode. You can see the difference is clear as day. Our goal in this lecture is to make the game look as same as possible to the unlit mode when it runs in the lit mode. Alright, first let's go to Edit, Project Settings. Then we scroll down to find the rendering section. This is under Engine. In this panel, we go down until we find a section called Default Settings. Alright, here it is. Disable Bloom and disable Auto Exposure. Set Auto Exposure Bias to 0. Disable Motion Blur. The anti-aliasing also blurs the pixels, so let's change anti-aliasing method to none. Also set MSAA sample count to no MSAA. Now we have turned off the default visual effects. Let's run the game to see how it looks in the lit mode this time. Without auto exposure, it doesn't look as bright anymore. So this is a good start point. But when we switch back and forth between the lit and unlit mode, we can see they're still quite different. In the lit mode, the details in the dark area is lost, and the highlight area, which you can look at the head of the player, in that area, the colors are still overly bright. I think this is because, by default, the engine is still doing some color grading through a feature called tone mapping. So next, I'm going to try to minimize this effect. Let's go to the perspective view, then add something to the world. Go to Volumes, then select Post-Process Volume. Now we have a box volume in the world. When the camera is inside this volume, its post-processing settings is going to be overwritten by this volume. But this only happens when the camera is inside. We can make the box bigger by scaling it up, and we can move it around in the world and expect it's going to capture our camera. The benefit of using a volume to override the settings of the camera is that we can set up multiple volumes in different areas. So when the player moves from one area to the next, the way the world looks can change through different volumes. It's like in one room, everything looks vividly colorful, and in the next room, things are just black and white. But we do not want this feature. We want this volume to override the settings of the camera, no matter where the camera is. We can find an option called Infinite Extent. Let's enable it. Now the volume becomes unbound, and it can affect our camera, no matter where it is. Alright, let's go back to the 2D view. Be aware that we are in the lit mode in the left view. Make sure we are selecting the post-process volume. Then go to the Details panel. We are going to tweak some settings here. First, let's enable Tone Curve Amount. This is under Miscellaneous, and turn it all the way down to 0. And you can see the change in the viewport. Next, let's go up to find Exposure Compensation. It's under the Exposure section. Enable it and set it to minus 0.4. This is just a value that I found that works best. Then set the main EV100 and the max EV100 both to 0. Alright, this is pretty much of it. Before we go, just want to double check if you have turned this unbound with the infinite extent option. Now let's run the game to test. I'm going to switch back and forth between the lit and the unlit mode. I think in general the game looks identical in both modes. There's still some subtle difference, but I think the pixel art looks pretty close to the original color. What we just did was to minimize the effect of tone mapping, so we can start working on the player's movement in the next lecture.